What to do? What's good, YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be giving my predictions on which contender I think will be the one to dethrone the active champion of their respective divisions, starting from the flyweight division, moving my way up to the heavyweight division. So, with that being said, let's get into the video. Starting with the flyweight division, the current champion being Alejandro Pantoja. He won the belt about 2 years ago. Since then, he's defended the title 3 times, with the best wins of his career, in my opinion, being against both of the Brandons twice. And for Pantoja, it's a bit of an interesting situation because he's such a dominant champion that he's already beat most of the top contenders. I mean, just look at Bro's last fight. Like, they had Kaya Sakura fighting him in his debut fight for the title. Like, that's how shallow the division is right now of credible contenders. But for Pantoja, the potential opponents within the near future for him are going to be Kakar France and Manel Kape. Maybe some other flyweight that like puts together one or two good wins. Because let's be honest, that's really all you need to get a title shot in the flyweight division is like one or two good wins. Uh, but I think regardless, he won't lose the belt. I do think Brandon Royval will be the next champion of the division, which I'll get to in a bit, but I don't think Pantoja is going to lose the belt. He's too dominant. I don't see anybody in the flyweight division right now beating him. And I do think he's going to retire in 2 years because he's like 35. He's old in a lower weight class, the lowest weight class actually, where when you're getting old, it really hinders you a lot more than if you're in a heavier weight class. So I think he'll either retire in 2 years or maybe within that window he'll move up and just relinquish the belt, kind of how Ilya did. However, without Pantoja in the division, I think it'll be a lot more competitive, a lot more possible champions. I don't think there's going to be someone as dominant as Pantoja was, so it's very unpredictable. However, I do think Brendan Royval uh, is the most likely person to be crowned champion after Pantoja relinquishes. Next, we have the bantamweight division. The current champion is Marab. He won the belt like half a year ago. Since then, he's had one title defense. He won it at the Sphere last year. His best wins of his career, in my opinion, being Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Piotr Yan. Of course, he beat Jose Aldo and Henry Cejudo as well, who have better resumes than Umar Nurmagomedov. But I don't like using the term washed, but they're not the fighters that you picture when you think of them. I think that the Umar fight was a tougher opponent for him than Jose Aldo and Henry Cejudo. Uh, for Marab, the potential opponents within the near future for him are going to be a rematch between either Sean O'Malley and Piotr Yan or both, depending on who he fights first and who he beats or whatever. However, I do think that if he goes into a rematch with Sean O'Malley, I do think that Sean O'Malley will be the one that will dethrone him. Sean O'Malley, in my opinion, performed the best against Marab. Close second would be Umar. And Sean O'Malley was hurt with the torn left labrum 10 weeks out from the fight. He was compromised going into that fight. And it was really close with that. So the fact that in the rematch he'll be healthy, hopefully he'll be healthy, and he'll have experience fighting Marab, so he can make adjustments on top of that. I do think that he will beat Marab in a rematch, and then they might do a trilogy. I don't know, but that's looking too far in the future. That's not for this video. Um, so yeah, I think Marab will lose to Sean O'Malley if he is to rematch him. And for the featherweight division, this one's really interesting because, as we all know, Ilya vacated the belt, so there isn't a current champion. So for this division, I'm going to give my prediction on who I think will win the scheduled fight between Volkanovski and Diego Lopez at UFC 314, which I think Volk will win. I think Lopez has the potential to finish him. However, I think he's just too reckless and he gets outskilled by Volk. I think if you're going to beat Volk, you have to be able to catch him. And I just don't think that Diego Lopez is skilled enough to force Volk in a bad spot to where he can catch him. So assuming that Volk wins the fight, and I hope this doesn't age like milk, the potential fights for Volk after Diego Lopez would be Movsar Evloev, Patricio Pitbull if he beats Yair Rodriguez, and then maybe another fight after that. And if we're looking like further down, maybe a Gene Silva who will beat Bryce Mitchell and then might get like two more wins moving his way up the rankings and work his way to a title shot. And with that being said, I do think Gene Silva will be the one to beat Volkanovski. I think, like I said, the only way to beat Volk is via finish, and I just don't see how any other names that I listed besides Diego Lopez can finish Volkanovski. Movsar poses no finish threat whatsoever. Um, like I said, Diego Lopez is too reckless, too outskilled to really catch Volk with something. Patricio Pitbull is dependent on whether or not he actually beats Yair Rodriguez and then wins another fight. So I don't want to get too in depth with that one. I do think that John Silva, or I said John, Gene Silva, will eventually make his way up and beat Volkanovski for the belt. I think that he's skilled enough to catch Volk. in a way similar to how Ilya Taporia did, and he has the fighting Earth's plot armor. And he's just a heavy hitter, bro. Like I don't know. I feel like if he can catch Volk, he can put Volk out. Uh, but this is probably like the farthest reach in this video. I'm not gonna lie. This is realistically the farthest reach I have, but I just don't see anybody beating Volk if they don't finish him. And there's not a lot of people at the top right now that I think can finish Volk. Similarly to Volk, we have Islam Makhachev for the current lightweight champion. He won the belt about 3 years ago. Not three, like 2.5 years ago. He's had 4 title defenses since then, with his best wins being against Volkanovski twice, Charles Oliveira, and Dustin Poirier. His potential opponents in the near future are going to be Justin Gaethje, which I think we all know that's probably going to be the next fight in the division for him. Um, After that, if he beats Justin Gaethje, Arman Tsarukyan and Ilya Topuria would be probably be the next fighters after that. However, with that being said, I just don't think that anyone's beating Islam. I do think that Ilya will win the belt after Islam loses it, but I don't think anyone's going to beat him for it. I think that Islam will vacate the belt and move up after defending a few more times. After beating Gaethje, Arman, and maybe Ilya, 2 or 3 more fights in the division, I think he'll just relinquish the belt and move up to welterweight, where it'll be a lot tougher for him, honestly. But I just don't see anybody really beating him in the lightweight division. I'm not gonna lie. The only way that he's losing, I think, is if Ilya knocks him out. But I think he beats Ilya. I think Ilya has the best chance, but I still think he beats him. Uh, and after Islam moves up, I do think that Ilya will win the belt. I don't know. It's tough, bro. It's either Ilya or Arman Tsarukyan. It's one of the two. It's really tough picking between them. But I think that Ilya, being as young as he is, I know Arman is young also, but I feel like Ilya is just slightly better than Arman Tsarukyan. So I do think that he will be the champion after Islam moves up and relinquishes the lightweight belt. Now we have welterweight. The current champion is Bilal Muhammad. He won the belt uh almost a year ago. He's had no title defenses since then. He was scheduled against Shavkat Rakhmonov, but had to pull out because of an injury. The best wins of his career, in my opinion, are going to be Leon Edwards, Sean Brady, and Gilbert Burns. Um, you could argue like maybe putting uh Wonder Boy above Gilbert Burns. I don't know. I feel like Gilbert Burns is a better win just because he's more accomplished. But for Bilal, he already has a scheduled opponent, being Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 315. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I do think that JDM will be the one to dethrone Bilal. I think that he's going to knock Bilal out. He's the best boxer in the welterweight division. He supposedly has an amazing ground game. I forgot who it was, but there was somebody that rolled with Leon Edwards and Jack Della Maddalena, and they were quoted to say that JDM was the better grappler. So supposedly, I know we haven't really seen him grapple much. The only time we really saw it was against Gilbert Burns, but he had a broken arm, so he couldn't do much. Uh, but like I said, supposedly he has a really good ground game, so I'm kind of banking on him being good enough to survive on the ground against Bilal. And like I said, he's the best boxer in the welterweight division. I think he KOs Bilal. And for real quick, I really want to talk about the welterweight division because the welterweight division in the next couple of years, I think, is going to be the next division uh, in the UFC. Like the welterweight division is just stacked with so many top contenders, especially like young talents coming up, that it's going to be like a revolving door where like everyone could beat everyone. You know what I'm saying? You got JDM, you got Ian Gary, you got Shavkat Rakhmonov, you got you still got Bilal in there, you still got Sean Brady in there, you still got Leon Edwards in there, you got Joaquin Buckley, you might have Islam moving up. Like the welterweight division is gonna be fucking insane in the next couple of years, and I'm so excited to watch it play out. It's like super unpredictable, but I do think that JDM will be the one to dethrone Bilal. After that, no clue. Somewhat similar to the welterweight division, we have the middleweight division next, with the current champion being Dricus du Plessis. Uh, and what I meant by somewhat similar, I mean like within the next couple of years, I feel like it's gonna really thrive and be really interesting with all the new additions in the top like 5 or so, top 10. But yeah, the current champion is Dricus du Plessis. He won the belt a little over a year ago. He's had 2 title defenses since then, with the best wins of his career being against Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland twice, and Robert Whitaker. For Dricus, the potential opponents for him within the near future are going to be Hamza Chimaev, Nasruddin Imavov, or Kyle Barajo. And I think that the next fight that he's going to be scheduled with is going to be against Hamza Chimaev. And I do think that Hamza Chimaev will beat DDP. I think DDP will be a super tough fight for Hamza, but I feel like Hamza's just too dominant. Uh, I feel like he will finish DDP within the first 2 rounds. If it goes past the first 2 rounds, like, I'm not gonna lie, Hamzat's cooked, but I think that he'll manage to finish DDP within the first 2 rounds. The only unfortunate part on this is recently he hasn't been fighting all that often. I know it's due to, like, medical reasons, so hopefully he can start being more active, but if he's keeping the same schedule he has now and becomes champion, I do think that he's gonna be a terrible champion. He's gonna be super boring. Uh, but even with that being said, regardless of him being champion, the middleweight division is gonna be super fun to watch anyway because you'll still have DDP there. You'll still have Sean Strickland, Robert Whitaker, maybe Israel Adesanya if he doesn't retire. Nasruddin Imavov, Kyle Barajo, Anthony Hernandez is making his way up. You got Rainier Derrida, Bo Nickel coming up. Like the middleweight division, similarly to the welterweight division, is going to be super entertaining to watch within the next couple of years. And on the contrary, we have the light heavyweight division with the current champion being Magomed Ankalaev. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the light heavyweight division is dead. I'm gonna be so honest. There's like no prospects, nobody coming up. You have Carlos Ulberg is the best prospect, and he's like what 32 or something, 33. Like the not lightweight, the light heavyweight division is looking grim within the next couple of years, but that's tough. The current champion is Magomed Ankalaev. He won the belt earlier this year, a few weeks ago. Obviously zero title defenses since then. The best wins of his career being against Alex Pereira, who he won the belt off of, Alexander Rakic, and Johnny Walker. And for Magomed Ankalaev, the potential opponents for him within the near future are going to be Alex Pereira rematch, which honestly I hope doesn't happen. I think I'd rather see Alex Pereira move up to the heavyweight division and really chase that triple champ status that no one's been able to obtain. Uh, Especially since he's like 37, he doesn't have a lot of time left in the sport. I'd rather just see him do that than run it back with Magomed Ankalaev. Outside of that, it's Yuri Prohaska and Carlos Ulberg. And I think that the one to dethrone Magomed Ankalaev is going to be Yuri Prohaska. I think if Big Ank, uh, I can't believe I just called him that. I think, I think if Ankalaev rematches Pereira, he'll win. I think Magomed Ankalaev just has the perfect style to beat Pereira. I know Pereira said he was sick or whatever in the fight, but I don't know. I don't know. I just Ankalaev's style. I feel like it's just too uh like counter. I don't know how to describe it. You know what I'm saying? Like he has the perfect style to beat Pereira. And like I said, I don't even want to see that fight happen anyway. So after Pereira, even if that does happen, I think that Yuri will probably fight him next. Maybe Carlos Ulberg will fight him before Yuri, but I think that Carlos Ulberg would lose. I think Yuri's awkward style will pose a lot of problems for Ankalaev. You know, Yuri fights the same regardless. He's not going to be worried about the threat of the takedown. He's going to fight the exact same way he fought against Alex Pereira and against Jamal Hill. You know, he's not going to let the threat of the takedown prevent him from doing what he wants to do. So, uh, I think that his autism, I don't know how else to describe it, is like I said, going to pose some serious threats for Magomed Ankalaev. And I do think that Yuri will somehow finish Magomed Ankalaev and win the belt. But regardless, the fucking light heavyweight division is going to be so bad, bro. It's so dead. I'm not going to lie. And similarly to that, we have the heavyweight division. The current champion is Tom Aspinall. You know, he won the belt almost 2 years ago, about like a year and a half ago. He's had one title defense since then, with the best wins of his career being Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, and Sergey Pavlovich. For Tom Aspinall, not the current, the potential opponents within the near future are going to be Alexander Volkov rematch, maybe an Alex Pereira fight if he moves up and gets a win, Gelson Almeida and Cyril Gahn. And I'm a dude. I'm gonna be so honest. I don't see anybody being Tom Aspinall. I think that the heavyweight division is gonna be super dead in the next couple of years. I think Tom Aspinall is just gonna dominate the division. I think he's gonna go down as the greatest heavyweight of all time. Uh, this sounds like insane glaze. This sounds like insane glaze, but like I don't know. Tom Aspinall is just too good. I don't see anybody being Tom Aspinall, bro. And I think he's gonna retire as champion. And maybe a hot take. I feel like Tom Aspinall is the type of person that might retire early just because he's already beaten everybody. There's not much to do. You know, there's no prospects coming up to really keep him around. You know, you don't have anybody like who do you have? Mick Parkin trains with Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin just lost to Tybura. Like, I feel like there's going to be nobody to really keep Tom Aspinall around and want to keep fighting after he clears out the division. So, um, yeah, I just don't see Tom Aspinall losing the belt. Maybe someone flukes a win over him. I don't know. I don't know. And for the John Jones fanboys, if John Jones actually stops ducking him and fights Tom Aspinall, he's losing regardless. So it doesn't matter if John Jones fights him or not. He's going to remain undefeated as the champion. That's how I feel about the heavyweight division. So, with that being said, let me know what you think about my video. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. Drop your predictions in the comments if you want to. With that being said, I'm out. Have a nice day, everyone.